Alam mo ba ang pagkakaiba ng pagong at pawikan? May idea ka ba kung ano ang kalagayan ng mga pawikan sa Pilipinas? Teka, intro muna tayo. Marami ang nalilito sa pagong at sa pawikan. Sa English, ang pagong ay tortoise. Ang pawikan naman ay sea turtle. Halos parehas kasi ang kanilang hitsura. Pero ang totoo ay malaki ang kanilang pagkakaiba. Ang ilan sa kanilang pagkakaiba ay ang pawikan ay may 4 na palikpik o flippers. Ang pagong naman ay may 4 na paa. Ang pawikan ay may streamlined shell. Ang pagong naman ay may paumbok na bahay. Ang pawikan ay madalas nang mumuhay sa tubig. Ang pagong naman ay sa lupa. Ang pawikan ay hindi nakakapagtago sa loob ng kanyang bahay. Ngunit ang pagong ay maaaring magtago sa loob ng kanyang bahay. Kamusta na kaya mga pawikan dito sa ating bansa? Bago natin sagutin yan, pwede bang pakiclick muna yung like button and subscribe to this channel para naman updated ka sa mga susunod na episodes. You can also leave a comment down below and share this channel. Importante ang mga pawikan sa kalikasan.
Ayon sa ulat ng Sunstar Davao noong May 23, 2021,
in a report published by Oceana titled, Why Healthy Oceans Need Sea Turtles, it said that sea turtles play an important role in ocean ecosystems by maintaining healthy seagrass beds and coral reefs, providing key habitat for other marine life, helping to balance marine food webs and facilitating nutrient cycling from water to land.
Ngunit sa kabila ng kanilang kahalagahan, ay marami pa ring mga panganib ang kanilang hinaharap, tulad ng pagkawala ng kanilang natural na tirahan dahil sa modernisasyon, pagtapon ng basura sa karagatan. Madalas ay napagkakamalang jellyfish ng mga pawikan ang mga plastic na basura at illegal na panguhuli ng mga pawikan. Nagtataka ka ba kung bakit ito ang topic natin ngayon? Dahil ang pag-uusapan natin ay isang card game tungkol sa mga pawikan. Ang tawag sa card game na ito ay Pawikan Patrol. Ito ay nilikha upang bigyang pansin ang mga pawikan Conservation Centers sa San Juan, La Union at Morong, Bataan. At ang lumikha ng larong ito ay walang iba kundi ang kaibigan nating si Mykey Cuento. Si Mykey Cuento, or kilala bilang The Tabletop Traveler, ay isang game designer, blogger, tabletop enthusiast, volunteer social worker, environmentalist, at isa ring businessman. At ito pang malupit, higit sa lahat, si Mykey ay isa ring guro by profession. Ayon sa Facebook page ng Pawikan Patrol,
Pawikan Patrol is a card game about saving sea turtles, pawikan in Filipino, and their nests from the poacher while cleaning trash from the beach.
At ayon naman sa Tabletop Traveler,
Pawikan Patrol is a quick-to-play, easy-to-learn microgame, 36 cards, about sea turtle conservation for 1 to 4 players. Playing as the CEO of an NGO, you must lead a multi-sectoral intervention to ensure the survival of the pawikan population in San Juan City. Collect hatchlings and eggs before the dreaded poacher gets them.
maganda ang art, simple laruin, at makabuluhan ang tema ng card game na ito. No wonder kung bakit madami ang nawiwili laruin ito, especially sa mga school activities, organizations, at pati sa mga family gatherings. At ngayon, makikipagkwentuhan tayo kay Mykey Cuento at magtatanong tungkol sa mga ilang bagay about tabletop gaming in the Philippines. Hello Mykey, what's up? Wala nang paligoy-ligoy pa, let's get it on! For my first question, how and when did you start playing tabletop games?
Well, if you're going to count games like chess, Game of the Generals, Snakes and Ladders, these are games that my mom used to buy for me, and I grew up with those. I developed an early affinity with tabletop gaming, with board games. So I was also collecting NBA cards, Star Trek cards in the 90s, And I was also collecting Dungeons and Dragons cards. If I remember correctly, we used to buy these at Phil bars. And by some happy accident, my mom bought me a pack of Magic the Gathering cards. So that was 75 cards. We bought some sleeves. And I was reading the manual on the way home. And I learned the game on the taxi. I was hooked. And I was also pleasantly surprised that there were a lot of other kids in my school who were getting started in Magic the Gathering. So it must have been a cultural thing. When I was out of college and was already working, I could already afford to buy my own cards. And here's where the story shifts. In 2012, I stumbled upon this event called All Aboard by Gaming Library. And there were tables, there were people, and there were board games I've never encountered before. Yes, people were playing seriously, but I could sense the fun and the community, the camaraderie, people teaching games, people interacting with each other. It was a very amazing feeling. After All Aboard, I think that's when I also made my first purchase of actual board games. It's funny when I think that I actually started tabletop wargaming back in the early 2000s. My gateway into Warhammer was Kill Team, a skirmish game. So it has come full circle for me.
For my next question, may nasubukan ka na bang tabletop game na may sinaunang tema or pre-colonial theme?
I've only really played 3 of them. Okay, one is Mykey. I've only read one of the Mykey comics that I borrowed it. It was okay. It was good fun. If you want just think of it as a reskin of Love Letter, a pre-colonial Philippines reskin of Love Letter. So that's one. The other is Lagim. Okay? It's a very expensive game. The components, I guess you can say you were paying for really good components. But in terms of gameplay, it leaves a lot to be desired. I'm not going to go into much detail, but it's an alternating asymmetrical game. Another reskin, another retheming of Boss Monster, which is okay. I wasn't particularly fond of Boss Monster, and although you get a lot of really good components, I must say the components are super good. Gameplay-wise, you might want to rethink. I'm all for supporting local. I talk about a lot of local games. If you really want to just support a local creator, you can get Lagim, but at the price, you might want to consider. It's nice to have in my collection as part of history, but I'm okay with it. And then the third pre-colonial game that I've played is Bagani from Balangay Entertainment. That's a game that's really accessible in my opinion because it's below 500 pesos. It uses images from a popular TV show, Bagani. Has a nice adventure and battle theme to it. You're competing with each other for gaining resources, but you're not really confronting each other. You're trying to gain points by defeating monsters on the board. It has a pre-colonial culture skin to it. And I think out of the 3 that I mentioned, Bagani really is the one I enjoyed the most.
How would you describe the tabletop community now compared to when you first started?
If you really want to go back, in the 1970s, that's Game of the Generals, something I played as a kid. But the way it was looked at before, it's not the same as it was now. As a lifestyle, as culture, and people really spending on it. And then you also see that in the 90s, that was the TCG boom that I also got into. I was able to experience all of the card games, most of the card games, and it's a mystery to me how all of these games were able to make it to the Philippines. But it wasn't later on when I learned from different people. So back at the time, it was Sir Freddy Tan of Neutral Grounds and Ludo's distributors, Sir Carlos, Dr. Carlos and Dico, Ludo, and their crowd, sila Jay, sila Adrian, and all the old names, Okay, no offense. So all of these names from the start of the during the growth during the beginning years of tabletop gaming. I was there. I just didn't know who they were, but I went through all of it. 2012, it was the year. It was the year that I was exposed to this culture, and I became a part of my first ever tabletop community. So 2017 was also the year I started hanging out at Snacks and Ladders in Maginhawa. That became my home base, and it was during my 30th birthday at Snacks and Ladders when I decided to start the Tabletop Traveler as a service, because I wanted to be able to play all the time, even with strangers. And I noticed that while I was the more I hung out at Snacks and Ladders and also Tavern, these were places that were frequented by non-board gamers because they serve drinks and food. They were basically restaurants with board game themes and lots of board games for you to use. But I noticed that a lot of players were playing the same things. Nothing wrong with that. It's a good way to get started, but I felt the urge to play different games with different people.
In your opinion, how can we encourage kids nowadays to play tabletop games? And do they have some practical applications in terms of learning?
Many of these games have lots of applications in teaching. Point salad, arboretum. It's fairly easy to teach math and probabilities using these. Wingspan is a good springboard for biology classes. When you're talking about birds, their wing sizes, their wingspans, right? And their habitats. It's abstracted to a level where it doesn't exactly translate to the actual science, but it's a good springboard. So board games really have a lot of uses outside of social events, outside of competition, even in education. And now more than ever with distance learning, there are many ways to utilize board games now. It's just a matter of acquainting, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. You need to acquaint students with the content, with how the apps work. That's part of it. That's part of it.
Oh, Mikey, last question. How can we elevate tabletop gaming to mainstream level?
Truly mainstreaming board games, tabletop gaming in the Philippines. One of the biggest obstacles that we have is access. The problem of access, it's gatekeeping a lot of Filipinos. So I'm part of Larong, a label under Ludus Distributors. We specialize in making tabletop games that are accessible from a mechanics and money standpoint. The price point is 500 and below. These games were designed for Filipino masses, the casual non-gamers, at the price point that they can afford, with mechanics that they can easily grok, because we have to work with with smaller number of cards, smaller packaging, and just really develop familiarity with board game mechanics. But where we're headed in the Philippines when it comes to tabletop gaming, there's still a lot that needs to be done. We're less than 1%, and we're even a smaller subset of that. Even if it's popular right now in mainstream media, the reality is a lot of people in the provinces still don't have access to it. And that's something that we can ponder on. We can continue to reflect on what does it really mean to expand the community? What does it really mean to open up or to mainstream tabletop gaming in a country? What would that entail? What changes do we need to make? How can we view our culture? How can we view our tabletop lifestyle and make it truly inclusive? Right? So that's all I have to say about the history of tabletop gaming in the Philippines as it relates to my journey as a tabletop gamer and designer, and looking forward where we're headed and what we can potentially do to expand.
Maraming salamat, Mikey, at pinaunlakan mo ko sa isang simpleng interview. Marami akong natutunan mula sa'yo. Mga kamipol, magbigay pugay para kay Mykey Cuento. At dyan nagtatapos ang isa na namang episode ng ating show. Kung nagustuhan ninyo ang episode natin today, ay please don't forget to click that like button. Ayan sa baba. Ayun! Yan! Again, share and subscribe to this channel na rin. Total, libre naman yan eh. Hanggang sa muli, abangan ang part 5 ng ating mini-series. Dito lang sa Pinoy Meeple. God bless everyone!